Every semester, each contestant's goal is to make it to this very night. Dozens try, but only 6 have earned the right to sit before you all in these chairs to my left. At the end of the night, only one of them will reign above them all and hoist our coveted Tournament of Champions trophy. It's the Tournament of Champions episode, starting right now.
What are those? Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that. What?
You miss a kick, you get kicked.
You know, a bag of money or whatever, some food inside of them. No, that is a great answer. How dare you boo this man.
Good evening and welcome to College Crossfire. I'm your host, Tommy Yarrish. Come on, pump it up a little. I'm your host, Tommy Yarrish, alongside the best of the best from our fall semester. And before we meet our contestants, let me just explain a little bit how tonight is going to work. Since it is the Tournament of Champions, it's a little bit different. In our first block of 3 questions, our number 1 seed, number 4 seed, and number 6 seed will compete through those 3 questions, and whoever has the highest score after those 3 will advance to the final. I'll keep those scores to myself. The contestants won't know what they have until the end of the round. We'll go to break, then when we come back, our number 2 seed, number 3 seed, and number 5 seed contestants will get the same amount of questions, and the winner of those 3 will also advance to the final, setting up a rapid-fire round for the title of Crossfire Champion of the fall semester. It's a loaded night. Let's get this party started. On first base, he's our number 1 seed from the fall semester. He finished far away above anybody else with 98 total combined points.
Numbers.
His Falcons have the number 8 pick in the draft, which means my Bears could potentially fleece his entire franchise. It's Justin Goosman. Welcome, Goose. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. And I might be the number 1 seed, but this guy right here is a sleeper. Number 4 seed, he's no slouch. So I'm going to have to be on top of it, ready to go.
All 6 of you guys here are no slouches. It's anybody's game, like we like to say around these parts. And speaking of, alongside him on second base, our number 4 seed with 71 points last semester. I want his Texans 2 first-round picks this year. He wants to win tonight. It's Ryan Swantkowski. Ryan, what's up, man?
What up, bro? How are we doing?
Our second question of the night is probably going to get us a little bit riled up, and he might lose several points. But, alas, at last, and certainly not least, she finished as our number 6 seed with 47 points. Please welcome Joe Burrow's future wife, Ceci Rodriguez. Welcome to the show, Miss Burrow. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. That was a great introduction.
See, I'm so good at these introductions.
He's so nice.
I'm terrible at my job, but the only good thing I've got going for me in these introductions. So, welcome, Miss Burrow, and welcome to the rest of our contestants. They're all ready. I'm ready. Let's get started and find out who will walk away with our prestigious trophy here that we definitely did not buy at a Five Below this weekend. After a hot start to the season, a massive bump in the road came for Texas men's basketball, as now former head coach Chris Beard was arrested about a month ago for a felony domestic assault charge and was later fired by Chris Del Conte from the University of Texas. Ever since, interim head coach Rodney Terry has gone 8-2 through his first 10 games as head coach with the Longhorns, and a difficult choice now comes in the lap of athletic director Chris Del Conte's desk. Do you remove the interim tag from Rodney Terry, or do you hire another candidate, and if so, within realistic bounds, who? Justin, we'll start with you. Your thoughts.
I think Rodney Terry is a solid option, but I also see Texas going after a bunch of different guys. There's Scott Drew, who's been brought up, John Calipari. But if it were me, and we were looking at what is best for this Texas team and what is realistic, I would go with Kelvin Sampson. Yes, he's a little older. He's 67 right now, but he does a great job of recruiting in the state. Marcus Sasser, Jamal Shedd, those are both guys that were out of the state of Texas, and I think Kelvin Sampson is ready to go to a program that he doesn't have to build. When he went to Houston, he wanted to build the program. I think Texas could give him a really good contract for a few years at least. He'd give us the best chance at winning a national title. I think Kelvin Sampson would be realistic and good for the job.
Kelvin Sampson would certainly be a home run hire considering all that he's done for the University of Houston. They're believe number 1 atop the standings, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? So the Cougars are rolling, and Kelvin Sampson, although up there in age, would be a wonderful hire for this university. Ryan?
Yeah, I like the Sampson answer by Goose over here, of course, but I'm going to go with ex-Villanova head coach Jay Wright. Jay Wright, 16 tournament appearances in 21 seasons with Villanova with a .725 win percentage all time. His first 5 years he didn't make it, and then the rest of the way he made it. 2 national championships also brought to Villanova. 61 years old, so still kind of young, younger than Sampson, and is still partaking in basketball activities as he's a CBS analyst over there. So he's got a lot of hardware and a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and he can go to this Texas team and just bring the Longhorns to a championship, I believe. So I'd say Jay Wright.
Jay Wright is certainly a name that's been thrown out there a lot. The only question is the Texas job going to be enough to pull him out of that analyst chair with CBS, just because we know how much the industry has grown when it comes to coaches and former coaches joining those chairs and getting a lot of money to do a lot of analysis. Ceci, goes that.
Well, the main question here is what's best for Texas. And I think what's best for Texas right now is to keep interim head coach Rodney Terry. I think he's done great for the program in the position he was given. Quite honestly, he came to this program under the impression he'd be, yes, an assistant, but more of a co-head coaching in some way, have more say in things. And while he's done a lot that's gone unnoticed. These players love him. They trust him. They want more than anything to get him to somewhere far in March. So I think, honestly, if what's best for the program, it's going to be to keep Rodney Terry. I think he's the best choice in the university. Quite frankly, is kind of dumb for not keeping him.
Wow, take that, Del Conte. Rodney Terry certainly has done a phenomenal job as the interim head coach for right now, and I know that Texas fans are used to making those big-name hires, but if you have a guy that's getting the job done, why not stick with him? However, a lot of season left to go. A tough loss against Iowa State with the Longhorns just looked all sorts of out of sorts last night, so still a lot of questions to be answered for Coach Terry. Good development there, though, from him 8-2, like I mentioned earlier in the show. We'll see how that ends up turning out. One question down, let's move right to our second one. Remember, I'm keeping you guys in the dark here. As in the past, I would usually tell the contestants who gets the 3 points, the 2 points, the 1 point. We're keeping everybody in the dark tonight. They have no idea who's moving on to the final round until I tell them at the end of these 3 questions. Question number 2 now. I've joked about this several times in our introductions, but in all seriousness, the Chicago Bears do have the number 1 pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. After Lovie Smith put on his Bears cap one last time in his final game for the Texans, beating Indianapolis and giving the Bears a lot of power and also making Ryan Swantkowski over here very happy. If you're general manager Ryan Poles in this situation, you've got the number 1 pick, you've got a lot of phone calls coming in from other teams, what do you do with it? Ryan, start us off.
Very, very simple here. Bears got the number 1 pick. You trade back the pick. It's very simple. You got a bunch of teams in the NFL now looking for quarterbacks. You can consider the Commanders, the Jets. Most importantly, though, I think the Indianapolis Colts. I think you guys should trade back, specifically with the Colts. Trade back. They're going to move up, probably draft Bryce Young. You guys don't need a quarterback. I don't get all the speculation about trading Fields. Doesn't make any sense. He's your guy. He fits the system. You saw that through the last 8 games of the season. Trade back. Get who you want. You want a defensive lineman, most likely Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, one of those guys. You can still get them at that point, and you're going to get another first-round pick probably for that first overall. Use it on a wide receiver because you guys need, or the Bears, I should say, need a true wide receiver 1. Claypool is not that guy. So I say trade back, get more picks, and then still get your guy at wherever they land.
I'm looking at you, Marvin Harrison Jr. Just wait till I get that Bears jersey edit on you. All right, Ceci, your thoughts?
Okay, well, I thought that was a great take. I say keep the first pick in the draft. I say keep the first pick in the draft. There's no need for a QB. That's not the question here. You guys have your Lord and Savior, Justin Fields, over there.
He is.
So that's not the question at hand. What they need is a defensive player who can help them. The defense has been the struggle for the Bears this season. We've seen that. They had a point where they were great with QB pressure. That faded away really fast towards the end of the season. So I think what they need to do is get a defensive lineman or a defensive player. I say Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama or Jalen Carter from Georgia.
Yeah,
be an odd pick.
Losing guys like Roquan Smith and Akeem Hicks in the middle. Yeah, you're welcome for Roquan, executive producer Jordan. Losing guys like them certainly going to lay off the numbers when it comes to quarterback pressures, but a guy like Will Anderson, Jalen Carter can totally flip the script on that. Interesting take, though, to keep the number 1 overall pick just because you think if you trade back, most teams like the Texans and the Colts are looking for a quarterback, so you think you keep your defensive player under lock and key. However, it's always good to be guaranteed and take your guy who you want, number 1. Justin.
So I really liked Ryan's answer, and I thought that the Colts would be the best option. But when you actually look at the full picture, I think trading back with the Washington Commanders is the best move. The Commanders need a QB desperately, and the Bears could even pull a move so far as to trade the first pick to the Commanders for a guy like Terry McLaurin, who is a bona fide star in this league, and potentially another conditional pick in 2024 or 2025. I don't think the Bears in this scenario would get a ton of draft capital. You might get a second or third round pick as well. But I think getting a bona fide wide receiver would really help Justin Fields begin to ascend to stardom like we think that he's on the path to do.
Yeah, and that's certainly a way to do that. And a guy like McLaurin would be good. You talk about the Colts. You think about guys like Michael Pittman. Even with the Raiders, if the Raiders are, I think, smart enough to trade Devontae Adams to the Chicago Bears, I would be over this moon. You have no idea. You would never hear the end of it from me. But certainly wide receiver and defense are the two positions that the Bears are looking at right now. You can draft a guy like Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, but you still need some help on that defensive line. So getting a guy like, with the Colts, DeForest Buckner, or even I've heard with the Commanders, Chase Young, potentially some moves there. Good answers all across the board. We've got one final question here that'll decide who heads to the final round. Speaking of the final round, Georgia and TCU played in the national championship game to end the college football season. Well, the Horned Frogs succeeded if their goal was to look like Georgia's scout team, as the Dogs dominated from start to finish and won 65-7, giving Kirby Smart back-to-back championships. As the college football landscape now starts to shift dramatically heading into next season, with players going to the portal, players going to the draft, teams looking completely different, who is your way too early pick to win it all in 2024? Ceci.
The obvious answer is the Dogs. That's the most realistic answer. Georgia has proved the last 2 seasons they are really unstoppable. In fact, I think they're reminiscent of the early 2000s USC dynasty. They are building that. They are showing that. They showed that in the national championship game. Even though there was a ton of hype for TCU, they did not deserve to be there, and I will stand by that. I said that the whole season. I think Georgia is by far the obvious pick. They are a chance of getting 3 national championships back-to-back, and I will not be surprised when they make it far next season. I think, while there was a lot of comparisons, this Georgia team, 2022 Georgia to 2019 LSU, they're not that good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not that good. Absolutely not that good. But they are really good. So I think the obvious answer, Georgia.
Yeah, it seems like Kirby Smart is on the birth of a dynasty in Athens. And crowd, you'll have to check this for me. Has anybody ever gone back-to-back-to-back in the national championship? We'll get back to that later. I don't think so, which would be such a phenomenal feat for Kirby Smart. But, I mean, the way that he turned Georgia into a powerhouse once again after losing so many players to the NFL draft. Now you lose your quarterback, Stetson Bennett. That's a whole other thing that you have to worry about. I don't think Stetson Bennett was all that great, to be completely honest, fundamentally, sound-wise. He was just a perfect fit in that system. And when you're a perfect fit, things tend to work out for you. And Kirby Smart made him look great. Justin.
I mean, you can either be the fun analyst or you can be right. And if I was fun, I would choose a team like USC. But I'd rather be right, and I think the obvious pick, like Ceci said, is Georgia. The returning Brock Bowers, who is a stud at the tight end position, can make any QB's job extremely easy. They're returning 6 starters on offense and 6 starters on defense. And Kirby Smart, once again, is in the top 3 of every recruiting class he's had since he's gone to Georgia. Recruiting masterclass from Kirby Smart, if we're being honest. I don't see anybody else in the SEC even competing with Georgia, as Alabama is losing Bryce Young. Of course, Georgia loses Stetson Bennett, but that's nowhere near the loss of Bryce Young. So I think it's the obvious answer, like Ceci said. It's the Dogs.
So we've got 2 picks for the Dogs, and like you mentioned, recruiting for Georgia has been absolutely phenomenal. Second this year in the 2023 class, only to Alabama. Alabama had a historic class come through for Nick Saban, as Nick Saban tends to do when he gets mad. So we'll certainly see if Nick Saban has a challenge for Kirby and his guys this year. Ryan, close us out.
Well, you could have the obvious answer or you could have the unique answer. And it's really not that unique. My unique answer is Alabama. What day? Top 3 recruiting class this year going into 2023. Yes, you lose Bryce Young. Yes, you lose Will Anderson, but that does not matter at this point. You've seen Alabama back-to-back years competing top 10 teams, SEC, winning the SEC, already made the playoffs more than 3 times, 4 times, whatever it was. I expect them to be back, basically in full power. You got Jalen Milroe already with a year under his belt, and the guy who was controlling his play calling for Bryce Young, Bill O'Brien, who I have very bad memories with, and Bill O'Brien, he's getting the boot finally, and he deserves that. I think this offense will really explode next year. Milroe with already a year under his belt, like I said, with Saban. Top 3 recruiting class coming in as well. I think Alabama can run it back, as we've seen them do many times.
Yeah, like I said, Alabama with the #1 recruiting class in this cycle. Plenty of 5 stars coming in for Nick Saban, and typically when Nick Saban has talent to work with, things tend to end well in Tuscaloosa and Titletown. Nick Saban now felt like he was a little bit disrespected being out of the college football playoff. So now we find out if his guys have it in them to bring that Bama DNA back and bring that championship pedigree back to Titletown in Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, we are through 3 questions here in round 1, which means that it's time to announce who's heading on to our final round and compete for our prestigious trophy here in front of us. Wonderful answers all across the board, but as you all know, only one of you can move on. So moving on with a clean sweep and 9 points, all 3-pointers on every single answer, Ryan Swantkowski is heading to the final round to compete in the rapid fire round for the College Crossfire Tournament of Champions title. Ryan, congratulations, but the job is not done yet. We will see you back after our second block and we head to the final break. Justin, Ceci, thank you so much for coming and competing. Justin, I know you wanted this one really bad, and you're probably going to strangle me as soon as we go off the air.
Maybe a little bit.
I'll fight back and burn your Trae Young jersey. So our first block is done, but don't go anywhere, folks. Our second block is going to have our number 2, number 3, and number 5 seeds, and we will secure our second seat in the College Crossfire Rapid Fire Championship. Coming up after the break.
We've got Texas running back Trey Newton, Alabama student journalist Robert Cortez, and everything you need to know about the big matchup at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. It's all coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
I'm getting back on my soapbox saying that if they just hit and rap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
The Colorado Buffaloes, they haven't won a game all year until this right here in overtime against the Cal Golden Bears. But we're not done yet.
No shot. You're not serious.
Are you kidding me?
So that's the third time.
That's terrible.
Give me 8 and 4. I do think that UT should win the Golden Hat this year, so that's something to look forward to.
Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
That's what I'm doing for the Cowboys right now. Hey, you have to believe.
I think this game it was Aaliyah Mathuru who hit a 3 with 5 left to go.
Serving and defensive coverage. This Texas team is a team that everyone knows struggles behind the service line, and those points lost to service errors could cost this team.
Coach Sark, lately you're not hearing all gas, no brakes a lot on the 40 acres.
It's about relationship building. This is about building family. It's getting this team to mean something to the community.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
It's a lovely evening in Austin. Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies. This is a rivalry game, high intensity, high scoring. Puck drop, we're off. Both of these teams are very fast. Big collision on the wall there. Now a little advantage for Texas. Shot in the middle.
Justin Tucker. Give him his 99 rating in Madden.
Football team plays outside. There is no roof. They have a pretty high ceiling. So I think Texas tennis team has a high ceiling.
Texas, as everyone should.
Well, I think a lot of it has to say with how OU has been. They look like one of the most overrated teams in college football right now. I think we're going to be fine. Texas right now.
But we've got Texas running back Trey Newton, Alabama student journalist Robert Cortez, and everything you need to know about the big matchup at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. It's all coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
I'm getting back on my soapbox saying that if they just hit and rap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
The Colorado Buffaloes, they haven't won a game all year until this right here in overtime against the Cal Golden Bears. But we're not done yet.
No shot. You're not serious.
Are you kidding me?
So that's the third time.
That's terrible.
Give me 8 and 4. I do think that UT should win the Golden Hat this year, so that's something to look forward to.
Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
That's what I'm doing for the Cowboys right now. Hey, you have to believe.
think this game it was Liam Matharu who hit a three with 5 left to go. Serving and defensive coverage. This Texas team is a team that everyone knows struggles behind the service line, and those points lost to service errors could cost this team.
Coach Sark, lately you're not hearing all gas, no brakes a lot on the 40 acres.
It's about relationship building. This is about building family. It's getting this team to mean something to the community.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
It's a lovely evening in Austin. Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies. This is a rivalry game, high intensity, high scoring. Puck drop, we're off. Both of these teams are very fast. Big collision on the wall there. Now a little advantage for Texas. Shot in the middle.
We've got Texas running back Trey Newton, Alabama student journalist Robert Cortez, and everything you need to know about the big matchup at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. It's all coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
I'm getting back on my soapbox saying that if they just hit and wrap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
The Colorado Buffaloes, they haven't won a game all year until this right here in overtime against the Cal Golden Bears. But we're not done yet.
No shot. You're not serious.
Are you kidding me?
So that's the third time.
That's terrible.
Give me 8 and 4. I do think that UT should win the Golden Hat this year, so that's something to look forward to.
Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
That's why I'm there for the Cowboys right now. Hey, you have to believe.
I think this game it was Liam Matharu who hit a three with 5 left to go. Serving and defensive coverage. This Texas team is a team that everyone knows struggles behind the service line, and those points lost to service errors could cost this team.
Coach Sark, lately you're not hearing all gas, no brakes a lot on the 40 acres.
It's about relationship building. This is about building family. It's getting this team to mean something to the community.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
It's a lovely evening in Austin. Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies. This is a rivalry game, high intensity, high scoring. Puck drop, we're off. Both of these teams are very fast. Big collision on the wall there. Now a little advantage for Texas. Shot in the middle.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
It's a lovely evening in Austin. Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies. This is a rivalry game, high intensity, high scoring. Puck drop, we're off. Both of these teams are very fast. Big collision on the wall there. Now a little advantage for Texas. Shot in the middle.
Justin Tucker, give him his 99 rating in Madden. Football team plays outside. There is no roof, so they have a pretty high ceiling. So I think Texas tennis team has a high ceiling.
Texas, as everyone should. Well, I think a lot of it has to say with how OU has been. They look like one of the most overrated teams in college football right now. I think we're going to be fine. Texas wins.
We've got Texas running back Trey Newton, Alabama student journalist Robert Cortez, and everything you need to know about the big matchup at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. It's all coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
I'm getting back on my soapbox saying that if they just hit and wrap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
The Colorado Buffaloes, they haven't won a game all year until this right here in overtime against the Cal Golden Bears. But we're not done yet.
No
shot. You're not serious.
Are you kidding me?
So that's the third time.
That's terrible.
Give me 8 and 4. I do think that UT should win the Golden Hat this year, so that's something to look forward to.
Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
That's why I'm there for the Cowboys right now. Hey, you have to believe.
I think this game it was Aaliyah Matharu who hit a 3 with 5 left to go. Serving and defensive coverage. This Texas team is a team that everyone knows struggles behind the service line, and those points lost to service errors could cost this team.
Coach Sark, lately you're not hearing all gas, no brakes a lot on the 40 acres.
It's about relationship building. This is about building family. It's getting this team to mean something to the community.
And welcome back into College Crossfire. Ryan has locked up his spot in the final round of competition. Let's find out who will be joining him. And now we're going to meet our second round of contestants, number 2, 3, and 5 seeds. And we'll start on first base with our number 2 seed finisher. He had 78 points in the fall semester and watched the Astros win the World Series and is trying to carry that championship pedigree into tonight. It's Robert Gonsoulin. Welcome, Robert. How are you, my friend?
Thank you, Tommy. I'm just happy to be here.
Such a humble young man.
Hey.
We are people of high character here.
Humble, slow, and steady wins the race.
Exactly.
Humble Houston teams. That's why we got our championships, right?
Humble Houston teams.
Humble, fair and square, humble Houston teams.
Fair and square. No cheating whatsoever.
Go Stros.
No cheating here. TSTV. We got some booze from the crowd. On second base, the number 3 seed, he had 73 points last semester. He made his debut on this show last semester and just blew it out of the water. He's been dominating ever since. Please welcome NOLA's finest, Courtney Machani. Courtney, great to have you. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Originally got peer pressure to be on this show originally, and now I'm a 3 seed, so anything's possible.
I'm happy to claim that I was the one who peer pressured him on this show, and I'm glad that I did. You've done a phenomenal job, and we're happy to have you here tonight. And last but not least, on third base, the number 5 seed with 55 points. Is he even supposed to be in front of the camera? You decide. It's the guy who makes me look good behind the scenes, our executive producer, Jordan Geelhoed. How's it going, Jordan?
That's right. I've been going, I can't even talk. See, this is why I'm not in front of the camera. I'm usually behind the camera. Yeah. I'm doing very good, Tommy. Yeah. Ever since we came back from last semester, I can't talk. I'm not supposed to be in front of the camera. I was trying to say that I've been preparing the entire winter break. Ever since the end of last semester, I've been training in the mountains in Tibet. You know, I tried to grow a little bit of a beard. I don't know if you could tell. Yeah, exactly. I'm ready for this championship. Gonna dominate. Gonna get Ryan next round, but I'm gonna get Robert and Courtney this round.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so Jordan's Rocky tribute will be playing after the show if you want to watch that from the mountains in Tiberia. I'm very interested now to see that, so we're happy to have you here with us in the United States, Jordan. Like I said, great to have you all with us here tonight. Let's find out who our second finalist is going to be. After a fantastic season, Texas volleyball defeated Louisville to win their 4th national championship in program history as Jared Elliott's program finally got over that final hurdle and gave Logan Eggleston the title that she returned to Texas for her final year of eligibility for. With elite players like Eggleston moving on in their careers and lives, how does this team reload and try to find a way to go back-to-back? Robert, we'll start with you.
Well, Tommy, reigning national champions, it's all going to be about development of new leadership. Eggleston, Asia O'Neal will also be gone. So you're going to have your best returning player. That's going to be Madison Skinner. She was second best on the team this past year with 344 kills. In her freshman year, she was a national champion at Kentucky and a 2-time All-SEC player. So if I'm Jared Elliott, what this is going to be about for this season is I'm not going to change anything. We're the reigning national champions. We're not going to change the attack. We're not going to change the offense. We're going to keep the mojo going steady and strong. All we need to do is get our new leader, Madison Skinner, put her in the offense, put her in the attack, keep things going, make sure your team is getting comfortable around her. Let her be the new leader. She's stepping up because I said we're losing players like Eggleston, like players like Asia O'Neal. It's about just getting this, and during this offseason, getting the new leader to step up and make sure the team is ready to play around her. You're the national champion, reigning national champions. Walk around with some swag. No need to pose yourself as a new team that's going to be facing some obstacles. Continue to show yourself as a big threat in the NCAA.
That was a great, long-winded answer there. I like that one.
Appreciate it.
If there's one thing that Jared Elliott has done well in the past couple of years, it's recruit out of the transfer portal and make those players instant contributors and stars for Texas. He's done that again here in the offseason so far. I think Madison Skinner is a great player to build around here in the future. Courtney?
Yeah, losing someone like Logan Eggleston is going to be hard for his Texas team, but I think they can come back for an even stronger year. They already have players underneath that are going to be primed for a prime position this year as they try to go back-to-back. Like Robert said, Madison Skinner is going to take that top role as a top dog in that system. This is a different sport in football. We're kind of questioning is Jalen Hurts. Is it the system or is it Jalen Hurts? So it's going to be kind of that question, was it Logan Eggleston or is it the system? So we'll see how if Madison Skinner steps up in that role. They also have some people that are going to come in with that. They can develop like Nia Bunton, who was Kentucky Player of the Year this season. And they also have a good transfer in Jenna Weenus coming from Minnesota, who's going to come to Texas as an outside hitter. It's a lot of questions on will she replicate what Eggleston did as an outside hitter, but I believe as long as he just sticks to the system and puts the pieces around that he has, because he has a plethora of talent, I think they're primed for another run at the championship.
I certainly think the argument of is it system or player when it comes to Logan Eggleston is a great argument, but then again, players of her pedigree are once in a generation, and she's just a phenomenal talent that the Longhorns are surely going to miss this upcoming season. Jordan?
Yeah, my ring right here is not as blingy as the national championship ring, but for the purposes of this argument, just pretend it is, okay? All you need to do if you're Jared Elliott, you go into the transfer portal and you point at your ring finger and you say, you see this? This is a national championship ring. If you come to Texas, we can get you one of these. And so I think, yeah, losing Logan Eggleston hurts. I mean, that leaves not only a talent vacuum, but also a leadership vacuum as well. And they can really try and counteract that by leaning on some of their veteran big talent like Skinner or Molly Phillips and lean on defense up by the net. But also I think you got to hit that transfer portal hard, get some new talent in there to replace some new blood. Also get a good libero in there, you know, because Zoe Fleck is also departing as well. And I think for a program like Texas, as prestigious and as successful as you are, I don't think it's hard to replace that talent, you know, reload the team, and get back to the national championship next year.
It's always much easier to recruit when your head coach has a nice, fresh, blingy national championship ring sitting on his ring finger.
That's right.
Jared Elliott has that luxury, and he has the luxury to build around that and try to go back-to-back, which is difficult in any sport, especially volleyball. Moving on to our second question. Remember, our contestants have no idea who just got the 3, 2, and 1 points in that, so you all get to wallow in darkness and wonder how you did for the next 2 questions. We're approaching the All-Star break in the NBA, and there's plenty of storylines to follow, as usual. LeBron James just continuing to be the best basketball player ever, putting up numbers while having no help. Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic are battling it out for the top MVP spot. And I guess the Kings are good at basketball now. That's always good to see. Shout out to Cy-Fair ISD alum De'Aaron Fox for continuing to ball out. All of that in mind, when you look at the league overall from top to bottom, who is the team to beat right now in the National Basketball Association? Courtney, start us off.
I'm surprised the obvious answer wasn't in the read. It's the Boston Celtics. I mean, they're the best team record-wise in the league right now. I think they're the best team talent overall. There's other teams like the Memphis Grizzlies and the Nuggets who are in the West, but I feel like the Boston Celtics have way more control over the East than they do in the West. The West is a lot more parity, and the teams are a lot closer battled, while the Celtics have just completely dominated their East counterparts like the Bucks, the Sixers, the Heat, and the Nets. They also have the best away road record in the NBA with 16-7, which shows that they are not phased, and they've also been battle tested, not only in the finals, but in the offseason when their coach did some questionable things, but they've completely went past that, and they look like the best team in the NBA. Jason Tatum right now is playing like the best player in the NBA, which he does, you know, usually around this time of the season, and I think as we go into All-Star break, they have the highest momentum, even though Memphis has the highest winning streak right now. I think that Boston Celtics are going as a favorite.
Certainly, anytime you have Jason Tatum on your team, just feels like he gets one notch better and better and better every season. It's only a matter of time, I think, before the green and white get that championship ring back to Boston. I think Jason Tatum is the center of that, and like you said, he's been playing phenomenally all season. You add him to that MVP conversation as well, alongside Luka and Jokic. Just phenomenal basketball, as usual, in Boston. Jordan?
Yeah, the Celtics, really, really great answer. I'm going to pivot over to the West to a team that you mentioned briefly, and I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. They do have the longest win streak in the NBA right now, something like 9 or 10 games. I think it's 9.
They just did 11.
They just did 11. Just kidding. My information is old now. Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies are great. Their identity is based around defense, but they've also got a really explosive offense. Obviously, when you have a guard as explosive and versatile as Ja Morant, that's going to happen. He's putting up 20 points per game like it's nothing. You saw that dunk in the VO over the Pacers guy. I mean, I just feel bad for whoever that was.
Bad for all these people who Ja Morant just.
I know. Jump with him if you want to go viral. Yeah. But I think that they have got a really solid big three brewing, a young big three with Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. And I think that in the West, which isn't as strong as it has been in years past, like the Suns are struggling, the Lakers obviously struggling, the Warriors, I think that the Grizzlies, this could be their time, and they could come out of the West, come out of the championship champion.
You mentioned a very important name there, and I have to shout out my good friend Marcus Risen, as he and I are the presidents of the Marcus Bane fan club. Just Bane Gang is all we're calling it. Like, he's just so good. And ever since his TCU days, Desmond Bane. Why did I call him Marcus?
Marcus Risen, you know.
Hey, watch it, champ. Desmond Bane is just a phenomenal player. Ever since his days at TCU, seemingly, he's transitioned well.
Swole body Desmond Bane. Yeah.
Exactly, but swole man himself, yeah, for sure. 2 answers down. Robert, closes out.
I'm going to pick a team that you also briefly mentioned, the Denver Nuggets. Okay, I think the Western Conference to start off is a little bit more talented than the Eastern Conference. Like the Grizzlies are in there, the Nuggets. Okay, well, Nikola Jokic, 2-time defending MVP, leading the team right now. They are 20-3 at home, and they've won 16 of the last 19 games. Jokic is second in the league in assists with 9.8 and 5th in the league in rebounds with 11. Okay, you can't forget about Jamal Murray, 18.5 points per game and 44.5% field goal percentage. That is a dangerous duo. Now, the Boston Celtics, you also mentioned them, Courtney. Celtics and the Nuggets have a 1-1 season record right now. That's well, I think I would rather have a team in a more competitive conference taking on a team in a less competitive conference. They're the 2 best teams, but I think the Nuggets they have that edge.
And Nikola Jokic looks like he's lining up to win back-to-back MVPs. Just unbelievable play from the Joker. Seems like he's getting a triple-double every night. And it's just absolutely phenomenal how he's been playing this year. He and Luka Doncic have really impressed me so far. I think Luka's just that one player away from helping him out on that Mavericks team to really elevate him to that MVP status. And Nikola Jokic has the luxury of having a guy like Jamal Murray back next to him. I think that has certainly helped the Nuggets out a lot. One last question to wrap up here, our second block, and this one is going to decide who moves on to the final round. Steve Sarkisian and his staff has just wrapped up the 2023 recruiting class, finishing 3rd in the nation behind Alabama and Georgia. They signed 4 5-star recruits, most notably of them all being Arch Manning, and were able to flip some key talent from the state of Texas and abroad. When you look at the class from top to bottom, who would you say is the most important player that Texas was able to sign? We'll start with Jordan.
Yeah, I think that Arch Manning is obviously the headline name, and I think that he's, of course, very important, not from just a play standpoint, but from a popularity standpoint and NIL standpoint, all that. But I'm going to go with Johntay Cook II as the player who I think can have the most and the quickest impact, as it's it can't be doubted that Quinn Ewers is a great talent at quarterback, but it's also true that he had some struggles in the passing game. Like, he didn't seem to have much chemistry with Xavier Worthy. It seemed like every deep bomb he threw was either a incompletion or an interception or, the 2 drops in the Alamo Bowl, which still give me flashbacks to this day. But I think that Cook can counteract some of that. He's not the biggest target, but he's really, really fast, great route running, great technician, good hands. I think that he and Ewers can have some of that chemistry, build on some of that, and make the passing attack even better than it was in 2022.
Certainly. Johntay Cook is a guy that you can move easily into the slot and get a lot of positive results out of that. And I know that Steve Sarkisian is extremely excited to have a guy to work with like that. Shout out to Coach Sweeney at DeSoto for doing a wonderful job with Johntay Cook in high school. I'm sure that's going to translate very easily and very quickly, like you mentioned, to the college level. Robert, continue.
Okay, I'm going to go with Arch Manning, the very popular player, very popular decision. But I think where Texas is right now, it does not matter who's going to be starting at quarterback this year with all these recruits coming in. I mean, yes, obviously it does matter, but even though Arch may not be playing, it's probably going to be Quinn Ewers. Think about what Arch did after he committed and signed. He brought in so many good players that wouldn't be at Texas, wouldn't decide to go to Texas if Arch hadn't made that decision. Cedric Baxter, the number 2 running back. Anthony Hill, the number 1 linebacker. Johntay Cook, the number 8 wide receiver. The list goes on and on and on. Think about it. Who wouldn't want to play with a Manning? I feel like, in the NFL, it was always the conversation, Brady, Manning. I know Brady has a son. When he gets older, if he decides to play football, the conversation is going to be the same. Where's Brady's son going to go play? I think players want to play with Manning. They know his potential. They know what he's like as a person and how, if you followed him on social media, see what he was doing? He was recruiting players, asking other players from other states to come play with me, come to Texas. I think people want to be with Arch. People want to be at a program like Texas, pair a good program with a player from a storied NFL history. Arch he's the recruiter himself. It's Arch Manning.
Absolutely, Arch Manning. Certainly, a lot of things will go around about Arch Manning, whether he's too highly ranked because of his last name. You know, he's playing against 2A competition. The bottom line is, if you look at the film, you actually take the time to sit down and watch Arch Manning's film. You see a lot of very positive things. You see some flashes of his uncles in his play. Obviously, a lot of development left to do. But there's guys like A.J. Milwee and Steve Sarkisian on this staff who are good with quarterbacks and can produce positive results. I think that will be the case for Arch Manning. I don't think he starts this year. I think it is another year for Quinn Ewers. But with that time, Arch continues to develop. He's not thrown into the fire immediately, and when he does get thrown into that fire, he's going to be ready to go. Courtney?
Yeah, I think Arch Manning was definitely the sign that had the biggest magnitude for this recruiting class. But I think the one that's the most important is on the defensive side of the football with Anthony Hill Jr. coming out of Denton Ryan, interior linebacker. I actually had the pleasure of watching Anthony Hill Jr. myself in his sophomore season as my alma mater, the Mansfield Summit Jaguars, were in the semifinals of the football championship, Texas Division 5A. We had Cinderella season, we were riding high, and we ran to Powerhouse Denton Ryan, and they just absolutely cooked us. Our run offense was our highlight, and Anthony Hill and the rest of the crew just completely stopped it. While myself, I was more worried about Jatavion Sanders trying to not cook our secondary. Anthony Hill, I just saw him just run sideline to sideline, play after play, and he even scored a rushing touchdown offense on the goal line. This just shows his athletic capability. After that season, he just got better and better, and as his high school career is over and he's moving on to Texas, I think he's just going to show his athletic capability even more. We can plug him in anywhere. He has a lot of comparisons to Harold Perkins, another linebacker that's doing amazing this season and at LSU. And even advanced, he has comparisons to Micah Parsons. I think he can complete both of those comparisons. I think he could have a Texas career similar to Derek Johnson in terms of greatness at Texas. And I think they can plug him in at edge rusher. He can run stop, and his athletic capability just blows my mind. And I think at 6'2", 225. He's a tenacious player, and I'm excited to see. I think he's going to take Demarion Overshawn's role. I think he's going to play even better than him, and he'll be a first-round pick in the future.
I've been around Texas high school football for quite some time. I think the best all-around football players I've ever seen, there's a tie at number one. It's Harold Perkins, and it's Anthony Hill Jr. Anthony Hill Jr. is a phenomenal football player. He played both sides of the ball, like you mentioned, for Denton Ryan, and I'm so sorry that your Summit Tigers had to run into him. That was a terrible year to run into Denton Ryan. They basically had an entire Division I team with Jatavion Sanders, Billy Bowman, a young Anthony Hill Jr. They had a Memphis kid at quarterback, running backs going everywhere. Austin Jordan was there too. Talent from top to bottom. Tigers were good that year. Nobody was stopping Denton Ryan on that run, so I'm sorry to hear that for you. But nonetheless, we finished our second round of questions, which means it's time to round out our finale. The winner of our second block, who will be joining Ryan in the finale, is Courtney Machani. Will be heading to face off against Ryan Swantkowski. Both of our winners coming from seat number 2. Maybe it's a lucky seat. Keep that in mind for the future. Congratulations, Courtney. Looking forward to seeing you here in a couple minutes. And a huge thank you to Robert and Jordan for joining us as always. Phenomenal first half of the season for you. We're excited to see you in the second half. I know you'll be more behind the scenes, but please do visit us here out in the lights.
Absolutely.
Robert, thanks so much again for coming by as well. Now it's time to crown our champion. Ryan Swantkowski, Courtney Machani. Coming up next, they'll go head for head for the Crossfire crown. back into College Crossfire. We started with 6 finalists, and now just 2 remain. Ryan Swantkowski and Courtney Machani have made it this far, and will decide our winner, as we always do. The rapid fire round. The contestants have not been told what these questions are, so all of the answers you see here are coming off the dome, and that's how we like it around here. Here we go. When you think of the ultimate choke job in sports, the most recent one that has to come to mind will be the Los Angeles Chargers blowing a 27-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars, despite Edley Tamilian, who's watching this at home, is probably cursing at us in French in the YouTube chat. They blew a 27-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars, even with Trevor Lawrence throwing not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 first-half interceptions. Other than this instance, what is the worst blown lead in sports history as Justin Goosman, an Atlanta Falcons fan, prepares to leave the room? And why is it worse than other examples? Anybody can start.
I gotta take this one. I gotta go with the Super Bowl choke 28-3. Falcons should have never blown that. As a Saints fan myself, I was delighted to see them blow that lead. I mean, when you're up that high against Tom Brady, I know it's Tom Brady, but 28-3 is ridiculous, especially in the Super Bowl of that magnitude, and the fact that you even brought it to overtime and then still lost, just disgusting loss. And I just think it's gonna be remembered in infamy forever. I feel like no blown lead is as bad as that one.
You know, it's hard to argue that because it really doesn't get worse, and you can tell as Justin Goosman left an Atlanta Falcons fan through and through, left the room just as soon as he heard blown lead. So we hope that he's doing okay and that he's surviving through the PTSD. Ryan, sources telling us he's crying in the bathroom. Honestly,
I can hear him. You over there? Part of me wants to say the Texans won that huge lead to the Chiefs in the division round. I'm not going to say that, though. I'm going to go with the classic Warriors blowing 3-1 lead to the Cavs in the, I believe, 2016 NBA Finals. Huge game. Obviously, a huge comeback for the Cavs. First time ever in NBA history a 3-1 lead has been blown in the finals. Not only that, but LeBron went back to his hometown in Cleveland and won a ring for them, saying, Cleveland, this is for you. We saw prime Kyrie. We had all the work, so that was young Clay, young Steph. Greatest comeback in a series in NBA history, hands down. One of the best years in NBA history. Got to say the 3-1 comeback by the Cavs.
Absolutely, and that's certainly a good mistake. Not a mistake, rather, but a good example just because the Warriors didn't just blow 1 game. Not 2, but 3. Always very tough. One question through. Let's move on to our second one. One thing that separates elite athletes from others who are just passing through is longevity. In order to do that, it's crucial to take care of your body physically. We've heard about superstars like LeBron James spending north of $1 million to take care of their bodies, which lines up this question. If money wasn't an issue, what would you spend your cash on in the offseason to stay in shape and build the ultimate training regimen so that you could go out there and perform like LeBron for 20-some years? This question has our contestants stumped. Remember, anybody can answer first. If money was an issue.
If I had enough money in the world, all the money in the world, I'm bringing in the best scientists, the best people all around the world, and they're going to build me a chamber, like the chamber that Goku was in when he was battling Frieza. You know, they had to regenerate him.
Absolutely,
They had to put him in that chamber. He got healthy. I think that's possible. I think somehow it's going to be possible. I'm going to spend all my billions and billions of dollars to somehow replicate it. And we're going to try and make it done. Obviously, I'm going to have the chambers, the hydro chambers. I'm going to be eating my avocado ice cream. But I think that new adventure is going to take me a good time.
Wait a minute. Did you say avocado ice cream?
I mean, Brady is 45 years old, so it must work somewhere.
You know what? Fair enough. But let me know how that Goku chamber works for you. I would love to try it when you're in season. Ryan?
I'm hiring the American legend himself in Rocky, from Rocky 4, Rocky 3 as well. I'm hiring him to come train me. I mean, that dude can train anybody. You see, he is the comeback kid right there. That is true American patriotism right there. And I've been one of those cool, like, montage scenes, you know, where he's training really, really hard. And it's all about social media nowadays anyways, let's be real. So if I get one of those 3-minute shots of me just going crazy out in the desert like they did in Creed, or out in the mountains in the snow out there doing pull-ups on logs and stuff, come on now. I think that's what I would want. That would get me in the best shape possible.
We've already got Jordan's Rocky montage that's coming up after the show. We got to make some time for Ryan's as well.
Yeah.
We'll head up to Nepal, Mount Everest with Sylvester Stallone, apparently. That would make for a great Instagram video. I look forward to that. All right, guys. We don't have a winner yet, so this final question is for our honors and our coveted trophy. First time we had a trophy in the College Crossfire history, and it's so coveted that you get the custom. So whoever wins, to etch your name in. Let's get going with our final question. Debates in basketball world arise in every instance imaginable. There's always the greatest of all time debate with Jordan and LeBron. Who was the best team ever, etc., etc. I'll bring up another one that's a little bit different. If you could build a starting five that consists of any players from NBA history, who would you choose and why? We need 5 players they're gonna win 82 games, sweep everybody in the finals, win a championship.
All right, so I'm going to go, so my point guard, I'm going to have Steph Curry. I think that he's the best three-point shooter of all time, and everyone knows that. He's going to open up the offense, and he's going to spread the floor. There's other people like Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas that I could choose as point guards, but I think Steph Curry, for just his shooting capability, is going to be the best option. Shooting guard, you got to go with Michael Jordan. Best shooting guard in NBA history, obviously. He's going to have the defense. He's going to bring the offense. Small forward, I got to go with the best player of all time, LeBron James. He's going to bring what Magic Johnson will bring in my point guard position at small forward. Plus, in his prime, he can play defense like anybody. And he's just the best player of all time. I got to have him on my team. Power forward, I'm going to go with Dirk. He's not the best defensive player. I know there's other people like Tim Duncan and Garnett, but I also want that three-point shooting. I mean, it's 2023. We have to shoot three-pointers. And so, I mean, it depends what era we're playing in, obviously, but I'm assuming we're playing 2023, so we got to have Dirk. And then for my center, I'm going to bring the most dominant player of all time. I'm going to bring Shaquille O'Neal. Another defensive anchor, another guy who's going to score me buckets, can score 30 and 20 on an easy day. And he's going to bring the attitude to the team that we need and the humor, obviously. So that's going to be my starting 5, 82-0. And this is an extra. You didn't ask for a coach, but I'm going to add a coach. I'm going to give Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Greg Popovich, yeah.
So you got a strong starting 5 and a disciplined starting 5
Yeah.
if Pop is around. So that's a good one. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to say Curry at shooting guard, like you said. Got to have him running in threes like that. Got to have the greatest player of all time in Michael Jordan. Got to have the second greatest player of all time in LeBron James. Got to have center Shaquille O'Neal. And the missing player to that is the GOAT, Patrick McCaw. I would like Patrick McCaw on my team. Dude won back-to-back rings, all 3 with different teams in back-to-back seasons. Dude has the clutch gene, and apparently he's got the chemistry gene with him. Come on now. He won back-to-back rings with back-to-back teams. I'm going to take Patrick McCaw. He's the glue guy. He's the glue guy. You can't have 5 all-time great players on a team and expect to, have chemistry on that team. You got to pass the ball. It's basketball. I think Patrick McCaw would be willing to pass the ball. He just attracts the rings. I'm going to go with McCaw.
Does he know this is the Tournament of Champions?
I do.
He just threw Patrick McCaw on a starting 5. So tell me this. McCaw! You can call all you want. Who is he going to guard?
He can guard anybody, man.
So you're telling me Patrick McCaw against Dirk Nowitzki is a positive matchup?
It's not the best matchup, but overall, he's the glue guy. He provides the glue.
I mean, it's like Robert Horry. Robert Horry got a lot of rings, and he's a role player. I mean, I feel like it's a better option than Patrick McCaw.
You're not supposed to be agreeing with
No,
me.
I'm just saying, I like Robert Horry. I think Robert Horry would be a better option than Patrick McCaw, but...
That's a different game back then.
McCaw even play in any of those championships?
Yes, he did. All 3 of them.
Wow.
Yep.
Impressive stuff. Well, that's not how I expected this to end, but nonetheless, we come to a close. All of the questions have been asked and answered. The points have been divided, and our champion has been decided. Nice rhyme, right? The Fall 2022 Semester Tournament of Champions champion, who gets to use this dry erase marker of destiny and etch their name into history is, drumroll's already started, Courtney Machani. Yeah. Courtney, we talked about earlier, I peer pressured you into doing this, and now you're the Tournament of Champions champion. Adam, do we have time for FaceTime for Courtney? Yes, we do. Take it away.
Well, I mean, like I said, I was peer pressured. And like Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. So here we are. For like the 07 New York Giants. And I just took down, some of the greats to ever do it. And yeah, I'm excited to be a tournament champions, first time ever tournament champions. Can't wait to continue my streak.
Well, Courtney, it is my great honor to hand you Tournament Champions Championship trophy.
Wow.
Here's the dry erase marker, folks. You want to witness the history of Courtney.
Best accomplishment of my life right here.
His name and erases the "your name here" mark that was originally there.
Okay.
There it is. It's gone. His signature coming up. That's better than the Lombardi and the Larry. And there it is. The Courtney Machani signature is here.
I'm going to toss it like Brady.
Fall semester Tournament of Champions champion. Once again, congratulations, Courtney, for the championship win. And a tip of the hat to Ryan Swantkowski for making it to the final and battling valiantly. Always good to have you around, Ryan. Remember, this isn't the end, only the beginning. College Crossfire will continue 2 weeks from tonight as we build towards our spring semester Tournament of Champions in a few months' time. Alongside Crossfire next week, 2 weeks from now, make sure to watch our other shows, including College Press Box on Monday nights and the 1-0 Sports Show on Friday mornings. Huge shout out to Samantha Pearl directing the show backstage and the rest of the crew here at TSTV, making us look and sound good. For all the contestants in the studio and all those who showed out for us in the audience tonight and all of TSTV Sports, my name is Tommy Yarrish. We will see you 2 Wednesdays from now. Thanks for joining us.